Welcome to Physical Training for Squash. This program is designed for people who play squash but have never really done any kind of physical training to try and improve their game. It can also be useful for people who do have experience in the gym but have never really done anything specifically with squash in mind. The program is divided into two sections, the weightlifting section and the bike work section. The weightlifting section is designed to increase your maximal strength. This will increase your speed, make you quicker, faster on court. The cardio section will allow you to maintain this increase in speed and quickness over the course of an entire match. Putting these two together will make you a better squash player. What this program doesn't cover is any sort of technique or tactics training. No racket skills, no tactics, like I said, nothing like that. In order to improve in that area, best to talk to your squash pro, and I'm sure there's tons of stuff on the internet, YouTube, dealing with that kind of thing. The program is designed for people who are interested in making a certain time commitment. As with anything else, the more time you put into it, the better your result. 3 to 4 days in the gym a week would be the kind of thing I had in mind when coming up with this program. Anything more than that would be great, but not necessarily mandatory to get significant results. Anything less than 3 days a week would probably not be ideal. And one last note, when doing weights and a bike workout on the same day, always make sure you do your weightlifting workout first. If you do your bike workout first, you may not have enough energy left to do justice to your weights workout. With all that being said, let's get started. The weightlifting workout is designed to improve your maximal strength. This will increase your speed and make you quicker on court. In order to improve your strength, you'll be training your nervous system just as much as your muscles. As a result, you'll be training like some of the strongest people in the world train, like powerlifters and Olympic lifters. You'll be focusing on lifting heavy weights and doing very few repetitions, usually only one, with a lot of rest in between your heaviest sets. This is how the strongest people in the world train, and this is how you will be training. There are many misconceptions regarding this type of training. One is that lifting such heavy weights will make you huge. And this is a big one with the ladies. It's also complete nonsense. While it is true that there is a relationship between the amount of weight lifted and potential muscle mass gain, this relationship acts in a bit of sort of a bell curve, meaning that as you reach either end of the repetition spectrum, the potential for muscle mass gain diminishes. We'll be working on one end of the spectrum. And there's also many other factors that affect your potential for muscle mass gain, not least of which is, how much you eat. Let me just sum up by saying that if it was that easy, I'd be 300 pounds of solid muscle by now, and I'm not. And don't use professional lifters as an example either. These individuals are the genetic elite of humanity, usually on a lot of performance-enhancing drugs, and chances are you're not part of that club. Another popular misconception is that lifting heavy weights is dangerous. Lifting heavy weights while being foolish is dangerous, but then any lifting or any activity while being foolish is dangerous. But we're not going to be foolish. We'll be progressing slowly, giving your connective tissue a time to get strengthened while we go heavier and heavier. In the long run, you'll actually be protecting yourself and your joints from injury as a result of stronger muscles and more durable connective tissue. Another misconception is that you should feel exhausted after every workout. This depends on the goals you want to achieve. The bike workouts of this program will most definitely leave you exhausted. But this won't be true of your weightlifting workouts. It's a totally different animal. Strength training, like I said, is about stimulating your nervous system, not working yourself into the ground. There'll be no feeling the burn. Effort will obviously be required, but it'll be a different kind of effort. And you may find, as I often do after my workouts, that you feel more energetic after your workout than you did before. You'll be doing 3 different weight workouts A, B, and C. Here are some general principles to keep in mind during all workouts. Number 1, stay as tight as possible when performing all exercises. Tense all of your muscles when lifting. This is a good habit to get into. This will provide you with increased strength production and will help to protect your joints. Number 2, breathe out during exertion when performing all exercises. Third one, always focus on form. This is very important when you're talking about safety when lifting heavy weights. Never sacrifice form in order to lift more weight. This can obviously lead to injury. Number 4, individuals will have to determine what resistance is appropriate for themselves. The program will give general guidelines in terms of sets and reps, but in terms of how much actual weight you should be lifting, it's impossible for me to give those recommendations because everyone's different. So people will generally have to start lighter, and it's safer that way anyway, and then work their way up by increasing the weight until they find out what's appropriate for themselves. The last recommendation I have is with regards to the exercises themselves. Even though I give video demonstrations of all the exercises I recommend in this program, you still may have some questions regarding form. If you do, I would highly recommend you get a trainer to take you through the exercise themselves and instruct you. It may be difficult to find a decent trainer where you're at. I don't know, you're going to have to deal with that yourself, I suppose, but it's always better to ask than to guess when it comes to form. As mentioned earlier, there are 3 weightlifting workouts, workout A, B, and C. Workout A is a lower body workout designed to improve the strength of your legs. There are also some balance requirements which will help to activate the musculature of the lower legs in a stabilizing role. As you can see, there are exercises 1, 2, and 3, and then there are exercise 4A and 4B. Now, whenever I have exercises listed as 4A and B, what that means is those exercises should be alternated. So in this case, 4A is an exercise for the abs, the obliques specifically, and 4B are calf exercises. So what you would do is you would do 1 set of abs, rest the allotted time, then do a set of calf raises, then back to abs, then back to calf raises, and so on and so forth until all your sets are done. So once again, a reminder, whenever you see a listing in the video of exercise 4A and B, that means those exercises are to be alternated. Okay, let's get into the single leg squat now. Single leg squat is an excellent exercise for your butt, and because you are doing 1 leg at a time, there's also a balance component. Now this is a chart that details the sets and reps and the rest periods for this exercise. I'm going to be spending a lot of time going over this chart and explaining the principles, because they basically apply to all the exercises and all the charts that I'll put up unless stated otherwise. I wanted to emphasize the fundamental principles and take time to do that with this chart so that I don't have to do it with all the others. So we can save time, just put the charts up for you to see later on without a big huge explanation. Okay, the first set, as is circled in red on the chart, is simply a warm-up set. 1 set of 5 reps with either body weight or a very lightly loaded barbell, depending on your strength. This is just meant to be a warm-up set. Nothing challenging at all here. Rest 1 minute after this set before you begin the next set. For your next set, if you used body weight for the first set, grab some dumbbells or a barbell. And if you already used barbell or dumbbells for your first set, then add a little bit more weight. Another set of 5 reps. Once again, just meant to be a warm-up, nothing challenging, and rest a minute and a half before the beginning of your third set. Once again, before beginning the third set, add a little bit more weight, and the third set will be the first one that's even remotely challenging. You'll only be doing 3 reps here, and resting 2.5 minutes between the end of your third set and the beginning of your fourth. Your fourth set, you'll only be doing 1 rep. For this rep, focus on staying very tight and being very strict with form. As you get heavier, you want to make sure you stay very conscious of your form and never break it in order to lift more weight. This first exercise, I should say the first time you go through this routine, you shouldn't be going that heavy anyway, but this will be the first one that's even remotely heavy. Okay, then add some more weight and get ready for your last set of 1 rep. This will be your heaviest set. Once again, focus on staying tight throughout your entire body and never compromise on form. Now, I say this will be your heaviest set, but it actually won't be as heavy as you can go, at least not for the first few workouts. You should feel a challenge, but you should still feel like you can do more. You don't want to go balls to the wall right off the bat. That's a good way to invite injury. You want to give your body a chance to adapt to the stresses of this type of training. You want to give your connective tissue a chance to adapt to this type of training. So you don't want to go all out right away. Now, as you progress through this program, you may be varying the amount of sets or rest depending on your abilities and tastes, and that's fine. As long as you pay attention to the important fundamental principles of this type of workout, and that is the first couple of sets, take more reps, 5 or 6 reps, whatever. You don't have to rest as much in between. These sets are just meant to warm you up, to get you used to the movement pattern, to remind yourself of form, just to warm up, lubricate your joints, etc. As you get heavier, you will drop the amount of reps and increase the amount of rest. And as you get to your heaviest set, meaning your last set or even your second last set, depending on how much you're doing, take 4 to 5 minutes rest between sets. If you follow these principles, you will get stronger over time. Now let's take a look at a video of a single leg squat so you can see what it looks like. Okay, here I am doing a single leg squat just with body weight. I just want to focus on a couple of points of form. Now in this exercise, you want to keep as much weight as possible on your front foot. Your back foot is there just for a little bit of balance. You don't want to weight your back foot, or in other words, you don't want to shift your weight onto your back foot and away from your front foot. Now what you see here is that I have my toe pointed directly down. This is with my back foot. My toe is pointed directly down, and this is in an effort to limit the amount of contact area with the floor that my back foot has. And if you don't have a lot of contact area with the floor, you're much less likely to shift your weight back onto your back foot than your front foot. Now in terms of spacing between your feet, I recommend that you have your back knee just end up behind the front heel in the bottom position of the squat, as you can see here in this picture. You might have to play around with the spacing of your feet in the upright position in order to achieve this, but this is the position I recommend. And another thing, in the bottom position, you should have your back knee just brush the ground, not weight yourself on your back knee, but make sure your knee brushes the ground just to ensure that you get the proper depth. Now speaking of depth, this is a crucial point in making sure that you work your butt muscles properly. Most people, when they squat or lunge, do any kind of squatting movement, any kind of lunge movement, don't go deep enough. The way you determine proper depth is you determine the center of your hip joint, as you can see in this picture. And as you squat down, the center of your hip joint should be at least parallel with the center of your knee joint, as you can see in this picture. And if you draw a line across through your knee joint and through your hip joint, that line should be parallel to the floor or a little bit lower, as you can see here. In this picture, you can see that when you draw a line from the center of my knee joint to the center of my hip joint, that the line is actually a little bit below parallel, so that means I'm squatting deep enough. Okay, one thing you don't want to do in this exercise is shift your weight too far forward. They'll put stress on the knee, take stress off the butt, and we want to work the butt. One of the things you can do is use your front foot as a feedback mechanism. You should feel the weight evenly distributed over your foot, perhaps a little bit more into the heel is okay, but what you don't want is to have your weight shifted onto your toes. If you feel like your weight is shifting onto your toes as you're squatting downwards, then readjust yourself so that your weight is either evenly spread across your entire foot, or you feel your weight a little bit more in the heel.